Hello, welcome, welcome. Guess who has internet again? Me! Yay! We are going to get into some r/am I the butthole, but first of all, I will explain to you what the hell happened to my internet because only me. It could only happen to me. I mean, it probably could happen to anyone, to be fair, but it feels like it is just my terrible luck. But yeah, if that sounds of interest to you, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. Okay, so let me tell you my little story of what happened with my Wi-Fi. It's not that interesting, actually, but I'm going to tell you anyway. You know how I love to ramble. And on that note, I'm going to put a timestamp for when the actual stories start again, because you know how much I love to ramble. And not everyone wants to listen to that, do they? Anyway, so basically the other day, Saturday, I was sat here working on the laptop. I had the gardener in, new gardener by the way, because the old gardener was terrible. I ended up ghosting the old gardener actually. And before you say, that's not very nice to ghost him and just not tell him that you don't want him anymore, he ghosted me multiple times. He didn't turn up for a whole month to do the garden once. He was meant to come every 2 weeks and do it. Didn't show up, didn't reply to me when I messaged him, was like, what is going on? So I thought, you know what, have a taste of your own medicine, pal. Because, yeah, I'm like that. I am a bit petty like that sometimes. It just annoyed me, you know? So I thought, no, you can have it back. Didn't answer the door when he came. When he finally decided to randomly turn up one day, not even on the days that were normally scheduled for him to come, I just didn't answer the door. And I didn't go and unlock the back gate either. I just thought, no, you can swing. If you can't give me the courtesy of telling me what's going on, you can have a bit of it back. But anyway, so the new gardener's in. He's just an old boy from down the road, does it as a bit of a hobby. And I thought that's perfect because, you know, he's literally down the road. If I need him to come and do a bit like on a different day or whatever, I could just go knock on or whatever. And perfect. And then at least I know that it's not someone who's overbooking himself, because I think that's what was happening with the old gardener. He was overbooking himself and didn't have the time. At least this dude, I know he's got the time for me and he'll do it and he'll do a good job. He's not going to rush it and he's going to turn up, basically. Anyway, I digress. So on my Wi-Fi, it's a new kind of Wi-Fi. I don't know if anywhere else has got this type of setup, but beforehand, it used to run straight from the phone line poles to the house on a wire. That was it. Now it comes, they're wires that are under the ground and it comes up and then it attaches to a grey box on the outside of my house. And then there is also a box on the inside of my house on the exact same wall in the exact same place that another wire comes through to. And then I have the router that attaches to that, the one on the inside of the house. Very convoluted, very confusing. So I have a lot of vines growing on the side of the house, and you have to pull them off. Because when I moved in, the person who'd lived here before had let the vines get so bad that the roof had to be replaced. Thank goodness I am in a council property and they pay for it all, because oh my god, I would never have been able to afford that. I was literally stood in the kitchen on the day I moved in. It was during the first lockdowns and it was really windy. I was stood there and I was looking out the back window. Next minute, the guttering just fell off the side of the house and was hanging from the roof. So yeah, that was a fun introduction to the neighbourhood. So since then, I've tried to keep on top of the vines. My ex was doing it for me when he was picking up Litlam, but obviously it's not like there's that much that needs doing out. It just needs plucking out when you see him. I hadn't realised the vines have been wrapping around this wire that's on the side of the house, feeding into that grey box on the outside of the house. So then the gardener has gone to pull them out, and he hasn't seen that there is a wire tangled in amongst all of that, and it just popped straight out. So I'm sat here on my laptop, next minute, internet goes down, can't do anything, I can't connect. I thought, it might just be my laptop, because the laptop, I don't call it the crap top for nothing. It could just be the laptop. Give it a minute. The kids will come squealing if it is the actual Wi-Fi. And they come squealing, Mum, the Wi-Fi's down. I can't play my game. So I thought, all right, I'll go outside and inspect, because I had a feeling, I had an inkling, because it was a bit weird that the gardener's here and then the Wi-Fi goes down. So I went outside. First I checked the router, obviously. Then I went outside and I was like looking around the box and I could see this wire hanging off. I was just like, no, No, because it's the 6 weeks holidays. The kids are at home constantly, and then they've had nothing to do for this, like, what, week? Whilst we've been waiting for someone to come and fix it. It's been a bit of a nightmare, to say the least, but you know, you survive. And also, I have been a bit lucky because I do have my mobile data, which is obviously, that's completely separate from the Wi-Fi. So what I've been doing at night time when they're in bed to gather a bit of sanity back, just, you know, having a little scroll through a few cheeky reels and having a little look and just watching a few reels because, yeah, I think I would have gone stir flipping crazy otherwise. But it's back on now. It's all good. It's good. But yeah, what a nightmare. And when the guy come today, he did say, to be fair, when he come to fix it, he said it should not have pulled out that easily. He said they're supposed to be so, like, you could yank on them and they will not budge. So when he opened it up, he had a bit of difficulty getting it to reconnect once he put the wire back in. So he said it looks like it's not been installed properly. He changed a few bits and then obviously now it's working. But yeah, I'm so glad to have it back. I felt like I was living in the Stone Age. Anyway, it's helped me catch up with a few sort of like editing because I record in bulk and then normally I edit and then post what I've edited the exact same day. So I never really have like a little store of videos. I just have a store of recordings, but not a store of actually edited videos. So I have been playing a little bit of editing catchy uppy whilst I've been yeeted back into the Stone Age. Oh, and if that wasn't bad enough, I broke my Bluetooth mouse as well. I know that's not really the worst because I still have like the touchpad, but I hate the touchpad. My poor Bluetooth mouse. I dropped him down the stairs. Whoopsie. Anyway, let's get into the first story, shall we? Would I be the butthole if I refuse? Brother-in-law requests that I temporarily move out of my home. Wait, your home? Okay. My wife and I have been married for 20 plus years, dating 16. Before the age of 21, I was a degenerate. I cheated, got in trouble with the law. I was abusive, never physically, but definitely verbal. I was horrible. This woman never left my side, not once. The day we found out she was pregnant, it's like a switch flipped in my head. Wife kept our baby against her family's wishes. They wanted nothing to do with me. I don't blame them. Her parents and siblings basically disowned her after that. I completely turned my life around, married her, went back to school, got a job, had another wonderful kid, got another degree, started a business. I make sure she never needs to work a day in her life. My life now revolves around making hers easier. We just renewed our vows last year. Time passed and wife has made amends with her family, but they to this day do not acknowledge me. Again, I do not blame them. My wife's family lost her childhood home when she was around 13 when her parents divorced. It's been in her family for generations. Wife always wanted to own it again. Over the last decade, I kept a tab on it. About 3 years ago, the house went up for sale and we bought it. Wife and I have been living there since. Kids are in college, so it's just the two of us, and life has been very peaceful. Last month, my father-in-law died. Now mother-in-law is alone and needs a place to stay. One of my wife's sisters never left the house or got married and lives with and takes care of mother-in-law full-time. None of wife's siblings can afford to take them in currently. Wife and I had a great idea. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law can move into our house. It was their home once, so it will be familiar. We have more than enough space and funds to support the both of them very comfortably, and I thought it was a great opportunity for me to improve my relationship with them too. Absolutely, I mean, it's definitely a good way to prove yourself, isn't it? Recently, I got a call from my brother-in-law. He liked the idea, thinks that it's the best case scenario for everyone, except he has one condition. All the siblings wants me to move out. As long as their mother is in that house, they do not want to deal with my presence whenever they want to visit their mother. Well, I would say that's tough shit. He bought the house. Like, you can't just tell him to get out. They also don't want to feel under my roof. I was ready to say no until he said this, that him and his siblings had to spend years of their growing up dealing with the fallout of their parents losing their oldest daughter to me. The last thing I can give her is to let their mother have her kids around peacefully in the house. In their defence, wife's parents did become crazy strict on the rest of the siblings after wife left with me. But that was years ago. We are all in our 40s now. They don't care if my wife stays or moves with me, they just want me gone. It's tricky, that one, because in a way I can understand the animosity. If I found out one of my siblings' partners were abusing them, even if it was mentally and not physically, you better believe I am quite willing to fight a grown man. Fists and all. Like, I don't care. I would feel pretty put out by it, to be fair, and pretty annoyed. But at the same time, if you've now gone like years and years and years of proving that you're not that person, you changed completely, your kids are grown up and in college, for crying out loud. So it's at least what, like college age is normally like, over here, you start at 16 at the very least. Now, a lot of the time, kids starting at 18 because they stay on at school for an extra couple years. So, yeah, that's quite a long time that you have actually proven you've changed. Like, it's easy for people to say, I will change. It's easy for people to change for a year or two. This is a consistent pattern of new behaviour from the OP. And at the end of the day, OP owns the house. And obviously, if the parents cared so much about their daughter, they would never have completely disowned her in the first place. You know? There are two sides. The family is planning to place mother-in-law in a nursing home when her health deteriorates, which we are guessing will be in a year or two. Also notice that the other siblings aren't taking her in, or making the room, or making any accommodations for her. They're quite happy chuck her in a nursing home. OP is the only one offering a safe place. They are not trying to claim ownership of the house. I trust my wife and her family on that. They are just appalled by my presence and want me to live somewhere temporarily while they take care of their mother in the last few years. On one hand, I want to laugh at how ridiculous his request is. On another, maybe I owe it to that family. See, I think at some point the OP is going to have to realise that, everybody fucks up, and severity obviously dependent in life, but people can't hold that against you forever. If you've basically done the work, done the growth, and you have changed and you've proven that you've changed and you've kept it that way for years and years, they need to also humble themselves a little bit and realise that they are also not perfect. They abandoned the OP's wife just as much as they may have felt abandoned by her. They disowned her because they didn't like who she was with, which is understandable to a degree. Yes, I understand being angry that your sibling, your kid, is with somebody who is a bit of a shite stain at the time, but there has to come a point where you say, I will leave the door open for them. I will be there for them when they need me. I can't be too far involved because it's toxic for me, but I will make sure that I always leave it open, which it sounds like these people did not do. And yet they are lording over the OP and basically saying no because you were once this, you were once that. If you hold everybody's past actions against them for the rest of their life, they will never grow. And it stumps growth, and it shows an example of why there's no point in growing. It's why I disagree with cancel culture completely, because cancel culture stumps growth. It tells people there's no point in you being a better person because we're still forever going to hold against you who you once were. It doesn't matter if you consistently change. It doesn't matter if you prove that you are going to be better and you have never done, the bad thing again, or the bad things. You changed your views entirely, or whatever it is on. Obviously, there is degrees to this, by the way. There's certain things that are unforgivable. But obviously, there's nuances to everything. But yeah, it just doesn't allow chance for growth. And I think that's really toxic, actually. Anyway, let's get back into it. Many thank you to everybody for the comments. I spoke to my wife about it. She shut it down. I told her how exactly I feel about it, and she called her sister, the one that's been taking care of the mum. I guess the brother is not exactly the one calling the shots in this situation. The siblings are all well aware of what he thinks of me, but she sounded pretty surprised that he actually asked me outright to move out. Her concern is mainly mother-in-law's ease of living. There's not many options. Our old apartment doesn't work. It's a high-rise with no parking, and we have wheelchair-accessible van. Plan now is they'll probably move in by the end of next month. I will not be going anywhere. We are going to figure it out as a family. Brother-in-law can choose to not visit his mother if he feels that strong about it. Unexpected sweet silver lining. 1, my daughters are visiting for a whole week for the first week of the move-in, whenever that ends up being. I haven't had them both around at the same time since Christmas. I'm a happy man. Aww.
So editing me here, as you can tell, because obviously I'm on the world's crappiest microphone. I don't know where my mini mic has gone, so I'm on the headset. But I'm just going to make it very clear, by the way, if I haven't already, that I think that the way he was at the start was absolutely disgusting. So just want to make that very, very clear that my stance on that is that his behavior in their younger, earlier relationship was disgusting, disgraceful, not okay. Just in case that is not clear, I want to make that very clear.
Now, I feel like there was meant to be a 2 on the end of that, but I can't seem to find it. I don't know what I've done when I've saved this. Never mind. Like I say, I honestly think people can do real crappy things early on in life and change and be really good people. I also think that obviously, yes, I recognise there are certain things that are unforgivable, and I totally agree. I think, though, this dude has proved himself, and yes, he should be ashamed of what he once did, but that shouldn't stump him, and it shouldn't mean that the brother-in-law can go demanding crazy things like he move out of his own house because of something he was like when he was in his very early 20s. He has now got college-age kids, and he has consistently kept up his good behaviour since then and proven himself again and again. I feel like the brother-in-law knows that this guy feels really guilty and is playing on it just to get his own way, you know? And that's really icky. Like, the world will never become a better place when people are not allowed the chance to grow. It keeps a toxic cycle in motion. It just is, that's how it is. So, down in the comments, Underdog Wood says, dude, the only reason that your mother-in-law and sister-in-law even have the opportunity to live in that house is because you bought it. Your wife's sibs need to grow the F up and realise that people can change over the course of 30 years. Precisely, that's a long time. Their refusal to acknowledge and the fact that you are a completely different person now than you were back then is totally insulting to you and your wife. They should be grateful that you made the opportunity available. Their proposal is utterly selfish and insulting, not the butthole. Purple Puffer P says, seriously, he was a degenerate from the age of 16 to 21 years old. At 21, it sounds like he grew up and put his life together. I am honestly shocked that 20 plus years later, the family is still holding behaviour against him from when he was basically still a child. These people seriously need to grow up. OP, I get you feel bad for your past actions, but enough is enough. It sounds like you have more than made amends for your early behaviour. At this point, the family's treatment of you now is disgusting. They have no right to ask you to leave your house. That is just ridiculous. Next post. Am I the butthole for getting mad at my girlfriend for not telling her parents no? My girlfriend, 23, and I, 25, just bought a house, brand new house, and within 2 months of living in it, she tells me that she told her parents they could live here, practically rent-free, until they get their own place. Mind you, they are not just changing houses, They are being evicted. This is their second eviction in the last 7 years, all due to their poor financial decisions. They are both avid gamblers and other poor life choices. They both have an income that amounts to well over what they need to live off, yet they have always asked for money and never seem to have it. I told her that the only way that they are going to learn is to tell them no, and she refuses to, because they're her parents. I told her that she's enabling them to keep on with their bad habits, and that I am willing to break up with her if she doesn't change her mindset on trying to help them this way. I understand that they are her parents, but I am not supporting them as if they are my children. No, I do agree with you. Is this enough to leave someone over? We have been together almost 3 years. The house is in my name, and I can afford everything solely by myself. I'll try to answer any questions that may arise if need be. Honestly, I do not think that I would be okay with them moving in with me if I was this guy. The fact that they've been evicted, like multiple times, the fact that they've got like gambling addiction, I wouldn't be comfortable with them in my house knowing all that information. And I do think obviously it's a crappy situation for the girlfriend because it's her parents and she cares about them, but she needs to realise they are putting themselves in that situation, and like the OP says, she will then be enabling them to keep doing it if they are not forced to feel the consequences of their actions, you know? Like letting them live there rent free? Absolutely not. They are big and grown. They should know by now how to budget their money, especially if they actually have enough income realistically to live very comfortably if they didn't have such terrible habits. I understand, again, that it's hard for the girlfriend, but if it was me, it would be a complete no. And I would 100% agree and back the OP on saying no. So down in the comments, Bookgirl789 says, if you let them move in, they will never leave. Exactly. And the OP says, that's my fear exactly. And then Seaworthiness Due 8650. It was really hard to read that one, and I don't know why. My brain was just like, no, I'm not following you here, actually. Don't let them move in or you'll be supporting them forever. You need to consult with a lawyer ASAP, break up with her and evict her. Don't let them squat. I think I wouldn't break up with her straight away because I think she is in a very awkward position, you know, especially if her family are quite close and they might be quite manipulative. I would sit her down one last time and just say, look, this is a hard no. This is the reasons why. And if we can't come to an agreement on this, we need to break up and you will have to move out. And I would just give that last ditch attempt because I do understand how this could be a bit of a rock and a hard place situation for the girlfriend, you know? So last but not least for today, I feel I've rambled a lot today. I do apologise. Am I the butthole for threatening to ban my mother from my wedding and meeting her grandchild if she doesn't cut off my ex-girlfriend? Excuse me? I see so many posts along this same sort of vein of mothers, for some reason, not being able to cut the ties with their kid's ex and like really overstepping with it too. And I find it so weird. It's so odd. I would never do that to my kid. If they fall out with someone, that person's dead to me too. I've got your back all the time. I, 28M, am marrying my current fiance, Maddie, 24F, this November, and we're expecting our first son in February. Prior to my current partner, I dated my ex-girlfriend, Adriana, 29F, for 5 years. Things did not end well with my last relationship. She was upset that I was taking too long to marry her and upset that I wanted to make a career change when it turned out I hated my career that I was starting in human resources. 2.5 years ago, she broke up with me despite me telling her that I was close to getting ready to propose to her. I just wanted to finish my school for my new career in healthcare, and then I would be ready. Totally understandable. It tore me up for a long time, especially since over the time we were together, she got very close to my family, particularly my mum. That meant I couldn't even get away from her at some family events. 2 years ago, I met Maddie at a work function and we hit it off immediately. We moved in within 6 months of knowing each other. I had proposed by a year since I had achieved the career track I wanted, and a couple of months ago we found out she was pregnant. I couldn't be happier with how things have turned out for me recently. Adriana, learning about how fast things went with Maddie, went ballistic. She called me and said I was a piece of crap who used her and led her on, and said many vile things to me. But thing is, sometimes if you meet the one and you just know. There's no timescale to stuff like that. She started saying awful things about me to any mutuals who could listen, and even started leaving negative reviews at the hospital I work at, naming me by name. Those eventually got taken down, but it was incredibly embarrassing. I spoke with a lawyer to see what my options were, but he said I didn't have many options for relief. That is so wrong. Laws need to get so much more strict on what classes as stalking and harassment, because what Adriana has done there is stalking and harassment. What a weirdo. And also, can we just remember that Adriana is the one that ended the relationship in the first place? Why is she having a fanny flap now? Last week, after having dealt with this for a while, I ran into her at my mum's birthday party. At that party, she happened to accidentally spill a drink on my fiancé. Ooh, I'd have flipped my lid. I would. And during a speech about my mother, she sniped at me saying, "I love this wonderful woman, and I'm glad that she gave birth to 3 wonderful children," while glaring at me. My mum had 4 kids. Oh, grow up, Adriana, seriously. When she was leaving, she also accidentally dinged my car with her driver's side door. Adriana sounds a tad unhinged, doesn't she? And you know what? I've just been cracking up because I've just realised who this Adriana bird reminds me of. I was sitting here thinking, she really reminds me of someone by the crazy things she's doing and like how petty it is and stuff. And I've just realised. So basically, when me and my ex split up years ago, when my eldest was just a baby, he got with this girl. Now, this girl I had lived with and I was really close with a good few years before I met my ex. And I lived with her for a bit and I moved out because she got really weird. She would get really possessive over where I was going. Like if I went out for a night, she'd flip a lid as if she was a controlling boyfriend, stuff like that. Anyway, as soon as I moved out, she started sleeping with the guy I was seeing. Yeah, I know. Madness. Anyway, and she did that again. I was seeing somebody else, and then I found out that she was sleeping with him. Not long after I'd binned him off. He was weird. Wasn't really that bothered. So then obviously me and my eldest dad, we break up, and he magically somehow gets with her. I swear she must have been sniffing around. So they live, and no joke, 3 streets away from me at the time, they did. And she would park outside my house randomly. She had no reason to be there, to the point I started taking photos to prove to people what she was doing, because I was like, I'm telling you now, she is weird. And it's all going to come crashing down. Anyway, comes to find out, when he broke up with her, me and him, we get on really well now. We never got on when we were together that well, to be fair, but we get on well now. And I think it's because it's one of those situations we should have never been together, but we are good friends. So he'd filled me in on all the drama. Apparently, she'd like freak out if they had an argument or a disagreement about something. She'd strip off and go running down the flipping road outside in her undies. And screaming in the street in the middle of the night. Like, apparently, anytime they'd have a disagreement, she would go outside and start being like super loud to draw attention, and then start trying to tell people that he was like abusing her and stuff, which is not true. Absolutely not. Like I say, I was with that bloke for years. Would never have done anything like that. Yeah, we'd have some shouting matches now and then when we were younger and we had a disagreement, but he's not that way inclined. But she's crazy. So she then, obviously, he broke up with her because he was like, I can't be doing with this anymore. She's off her nut. Like, absolutely insane. One night, after they broke up, a year and a half after they'd broken up, he gets a text message on WhatsApp. And it's her, and it's a picture of her in bed with this bloke. And the message says something along the lines of, he's my king and I'm his queen. He treats me amazing. Now, that's not the funniest part. That's not the funniest part. So my ex was in bed with his new missus. And he was just like, he just opened it and he said he'd just put it down. He showed his missus. They had a laugh and he put it down and he didn't even reply. He was like, I'm not even giving her the time of day. The best part of it comes now. I come to find out that the bloke she was in the picture with, that she'd sent to him, was married. So she was sleeping with this married bloke, bragging it about as if he's the next best thing since sliced bread. It's like, mate, you can't pull them, can you, unless somebody else has got them? Like, she's got a weird thing for trying to go with people that other people are already with. It's like, I'm sorry, lovey, but if they're that easy, it is not because you're special. Anyway, back to the post. After she left, I sat down with my mother and said that my ex was making my life harder for no reason, listed the things I mentioned above, and asked her to not invite her to events anymore. She pushed back, saying that Adriana was a decent friend to her and she likes Adriana's mother a lot, so it would be difficult for her to cut her off. Tough. It's your kid's mental well-being at stake here, love. Who cares? I said that I understand that, but I am asking, as her son, to support me when somebody is mistreating me. She said we would talk about it further. Yesterday, I found out that Adriana was coming to my youngest brother's track tournament. So that talk went in one ear and out through the other. I called my mum and asked her to uninvite Adriana. She said she couldn't. I said, let me make this more clear for you then. If you are saying yes to her, you are saying no to me. If you decide to support her in this, you can consider yourself uninvited to my wedding and not a part of the family I am building. You can also say goodbye to meeting your first grandchild. She called me mean and cold. I said I am about this. I'm sorry, but is it not mean and cold to hear your son come to you and say, this person is making my life hell? And you go, I'm still going to be besties with them. Get your head out your ass, love. Goodness. The fallout from this has been more than I was expecting. Adriana went nuts when my mum cut her off. I bet she did, because she was getting a kick out of it all. And I got a bunch of mutuals saying I was a massive ass for destroying the relationship between my mum and Adriana. My mum is pretty upset with me, but I know she'll eventually come around. My fiancé is happy that I'm standing up for her and us. My question is, did I go too far? Am I the butthole for threatening to cut off my mum if she didn't cut off Adriana? No, you set a healthy boundary. Be proud of yourself. You've sat there and you've said, look, if you are not willing to put my well-being before this random woman who realistically means nothing to us, especially considering she has been harassing me and stalking me and making my life difficult, then you don't get to be a part of my life anymore. Because you are guilty via association. You know, I think that's really good. And it's a difficult thing to do. And I'm very, very happy that the OP has stuck up for themselves. Because it is tricky when it's your own parents. So then, down in the comments, SoftPulse4650 says, dude, not the butthole. Who your mum chills with is her biz, but when it starts messing with your life, lines gotta be drawn. Adriana sounds like she's running the Psycho X playbook, page by page. Mum's gotta choose. It ain't about destroying a relationship, man. It's about protecting your family. She'll come round. Good on you for standing up for your lady and your kiddo. Keep that crap up, bro. Exactly. And then Leia Elizabeth says, exactly. Mum could have still met up with Adriana outside of family events as she's no longer family. I don't take my friends to my family events either. Gosh, that'd be awkward if everyone did that. Also, she spilled a drink over a pregnant woman. What's next? Making a trip? Shoving her down the stairs? Exactly. And also dinging the car? Like, it's all a show of escalation of aggressive behaviour. And yes, you can say a drink is a drink, it's just a bit of water, clean yourself up, but it's an escalation. Okay, I think that's all we've got time for today. I should really get to bed, probably, because I have a blood test in the morning. Just in one of those annual checkup ones they send you for. And I don't want to go. I'm not scared of needles or anything. Oh, it's the feeling when they take it out. It makes me want to vom. And I have to try hard not to. So can't wait for that. But yeah, I should probably actually be well rested for that, shouldn't I? Maybe. But yeah, if you've made it all the way to the end, then I appreciate you very, very much. Probably a bit of a longer one today because I bet I've rambled. I can imagine I have. I had stuff to tell you. And if you did listen to my ramblings and didn't fall asleep, well done for that too. Don't forget to pop a little like, subscribe, turn notifications on. That is your initiation into the cult of void. Welcome. Whatever it is you're doing for the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye.